What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the Moon Studios Iron Arm, their version of a Masterpiece Kaen from the Headmaster series. So this is the third in the series of train bots from Moon Studio. We actually already looked at the fourth, which is the Moonshine, their version of Shuki. And I got these at the same time, so I decided to look at the newer one first. But let's take a look at this guy. And we aren't going to do combine mode here all together because we've already done that. But I do want to show you out of box, there's a bunch of things you need to do. So number one, you want to rotate these up so they're on a double hinge. So rotate those up, otherwise they'll sit a little too low. And they should sit up like that. On the sides here, these will probably be unpegged. So peg them together and then slide them down to tab them in. And then open up these so they sit like that. This should be flat underneath, and then you can fold that down like that. And same on the back here. These are going to be rotated down, so you want to rotate these up and up here. Then we're going to come and we'll do this one too, since that one will probably also be undone. All right, and then make sure these hip skirts are flat underneath. They should be sitting flat up against the top here, like that. All right, come to the bottom here and you'll notice the legs are loose. That's not how it should be. You're supposed to get some tabs in there. So unfortunately, they didn't put the tabs in, probably for shipping purposes. So go ahead and take these tabs. They're right here, and they're going to tab into the bottom of the hip joint here. So get that pushed up and in, and you might need a spudger to just reach in there because it's a little tight. It's a tight space. All right, same on the other side. Grab that tab, rotate that up, and get that pegged into the hip. All right, make sure you get those both all the way in there. And then go ahead and take this. That's going to tab in right here on the bottom and solidify that side. All right, same on this side. Go ahead and take these. And now we are ready for combine mode. One other thing that may happen is these might not be tabbed in properly, so just get those tabbed into the side of the legs. They don't sit all that secure, but they do secure to the side, on the insides and on the outsides. So once you have it like this, then you can combine them together. I did show, this is the combiner port here on the top, so you'll see the wide parts is the front, and the thin part is the back, because you're going to push it in here and then slide it back into those. So this is actually the front of the robot mode. Let me just show an image of the combine mode from my other review. So that's what it looks like. Really nice looking so far. I'm glad how this is shaping up. Excited to see the final combiner. All right, now let's get this guy into his robot mode. You do get this accessory here, which is the gun for combine mode. I just want to show you this combined together. So basically you're going to insert this here, pull this handle down, and there's the gun. Some nice gray detail, orange detail here. Really good looking gun. Obviously you don't have an arm yet to hold this thing, but so far looking really good. So we're just going to fold that up for now because we can't really do anything with it until we get the combine mode. So let me set that aside and let's get this guy into his robot mode. It is a semi-challenging transformation, but let's start on the top here. Now you're going to detach these, and you want to detach in the middle. But what ends up happening, it always detaches here on that joint. So just get this unattached and then reattach it here on this. And otherwise you'll have trouble later. You'll get a little bit of confusion on how you're supposed to transform this. Same thing's going to happen here. You're going to try to attach in the middle, but it's going to attach on the side. And get those unpegged from the sides. One thing I forgot to mention is these panels here come down. You actually want to have them up for the combine mode, so you get that detail there. That's the only purpose for that in any of the modes, so you do want to have that upwards for the combine mode. And it does come in box like this, so just remember to push that up for combine mode. All right, we're going to put those back down, and these are going to unpeg from the sides and just sit back here. Pegged in on the side. Right. Then we're going to take these two And it's having a little trouble here with the orientation, but these two are going to come together. The tabs where they're going to push together. Same on this one. And then fold this down. All right, so that's his little backpack. It just gets it out of your way to get it all configured like that. All right, so now we can work on the rest of this. So go ahead and unpeg these arms from here, from the side. Open up these arms. Get that away from the side. And that'll give us a little bit of room to work to get the head rotated outwards. Now we can slide these arms up on these joints. See on this one. And just leave these here for now. Let's see, I'm going to rotate these back. And I'm going to leave them there out of the way, but they are going to end up coming back down. Next we'll take care of these side hip skirts. So we're going to fold up here and then down this way. So it kind of accordions on top of itself. Fold this up, and then these pieces are going to fold inwards, and that's actually going to sit like that. And the arm's going to come down this way. Not yet, but when we're done, we're going to do that. Right? Same on this side. Go ahead and take this, fold this down, fold this up, and those are going to sit in like that. So here's the back. Go ahead and unpeg the hip skirt from here. You're going to rotate and tab it up into the top. Take these hip skirts, they're going to accordion up on those double hinges. All right, fold these tabs in. And like I mentioned, they can scrape up. I can have a little scrape right there to show you. And then take these and tab them into the sides and make sure they make their way in. All right, now that we have those in, you can take this arm and that's going to accordion down. There's two little tabs right here, or two little slots. They're going to fit onto the tabs on the inside of the arm. So get those down. Make sure it lines up, and then push that down. Give it a nice firm push. Now it may come out later, but that is the goal anyway, is to get those tabbed in. So hold these panels in, get that pushed down, make sure it lines up, and then give that a nice push. And we've got those arms pretty much ready. Right, now we'll take care of these legs. The legs are a little trickier, so open these up to give yourself a little bit of room. We're going to undo these tabs for the combine mode. Those are pretty much critical, so if those break on you, it's definitely going to be a problem. You need those for the combine mode to work, so be careful with these little tabs. All right, open this up. Take this, and this is the hip skirts. Fold those back and out on both sides. Again, it is symmetrical, so you know. Take these and fold these down and accordion those down and in to here. All right, and we're going to tab this together. And that's going to sit nice and tight. Take this. This is going to tab down and into there and kind of hold that together. Of course, symmetrical. Same on this side. Next, we'll go ahead and come take care of this backpack. It just has two tabs here and then two slots here on the back. So get that tabbed in to his back. And then these can kind of just sit down like that. And there you go. All right, now we'll work on the legs. The legs are, somewhat complicated, but not too bad. So you're going to open up these panels here, unpeg it from the side, lift these up and out. Close down these little tabs here. The entire leg is going to open up here. Now, you've got to get it out of here, so it's a little bit tricky. I'd recommend you take this, open that up, and that'll allow you to take this and unaccordion it. Right. Once you do that, you can take this and push it all the way back in. And this is a very tight joint, so just be careful. Don't hurt your hands. But get this all the way in and stored. And getting this back out is a pain. but that is what you need to do. Get this accordion and flat down like this. These are going to flip around this way and come back in, and this is going to store down inside. So take this and fold it like that. This is going to fold outwards and become the foot, and this is going to be the bottom panel for the leg. Take this, that's going to come up like that, and then rotate this way, and that's the front of the foot. Leave this panel downwards. This is going to come inside and sit in here, and then you're going to get all those tabs back in. So make sure you get those in, and then rotate this panel the other direction. And so first get it into here on the sides. Make sure I've got everything lined up. Get this tabbed in. And then that's going to tab into the side of the leg. So make sure you get that into there. Right? So that's one side pretty much done. We're going to do the same thing on this side, right? Rotate this panel around, rotate this around, fold this down, fold this to the inside. That's going to sit inside there. Tab that into there. And that's going to kind of hold the leg together. Make sure you have that all squeezed together. Right, this panel is going to rotate this way. It's going to tab back into here. So get this down. Make sure the wheels make their way in. But it should look something like that. And then finally this is going to come up and tab into here. You might have to align some things up, but there's 2 slots and 2 tabs. So make sure you get all of that in. There we go. So that's what the bottom of the foot should look like. Okay, so that's one done. Obviously this is got to rotate the other direction, but all right, so there's one leg. Let's do the other one now. And to finish up the arms here, we'll take care of these. So open up this tab. These are really tight, but take the hands out and then close that down. Very normal Masterpiece style hands. And there is Iron Arm in his robot mode. Really quite imposing. Let's take a quick 360. He does have the backpack back here. It's okay. I don't mind it too much. It's just getting it configured is a little tricky, especially with the instructions. I forgot to mention, by the way, the instructions are absolutely terrible. So I wouldn't use those. I'd use my instructions I gave here, or even some others that have already come out. But they really just don't help you. So some things you just kind of have to figure out. But really quite good looking. He's got the nice gray paint all throughout. Orange accents here and here. Red accents here kind of throughout. And then the orange for the, which will become the part of the train. But it looks good here on the side. Here's the back, relatively clean for what it did, right? It came through a lot to get here, but it's nice and clean. There's not much for kibble or for even, holes or gaps, with the exception to the backpack, which I think looks fine. He does have some pretty good articulation, so the head is on a ball joint, so it gets down to there, up to there, rotates all the way around. There's a little cutout on the back of the corner of the head. So that's to allow it to move around this piece here. So you can rotate all around. You just have to maneuver it around that. And he does get some side-to-side action there. He's got some metallic blue eyes. They do look nice. It's a nice-looking head sculpt. The shoulders are kind of wonky. So if you lift up here on this joint, you can get it up to there. But there's also an inner joint. And you kind of have to hold this here. It's very tight. So you can get it up on that joint as well. I'm not sure if that's worth the effort here because it's really, really tight and it's putting stress on this right here. So this joint, if you pull too far, it goes up and unpegs. So it's just 2 little tabs holding it. I wish there was something to retain, like a retaining mechanism or something, a little clip. But unfortunately, it doesn't have that. Shoulder rotates all the way around, but it's super duper tight and you need to be careful. In fact, I'm not even going to do it all the way, but you want to hold here and rotate. But that joint, for whatever reason, is ridiculously tight. Almost sounds like it's going to break. We do need to manipulate that for transformation, so I'm going to show you a little bit later. But at least it won't be sitting on these tiny little pegs there, or these little tabs. I don't want to break those, but it does rotate around there. You have a double jointed elbow. Gets to the full bend due to transformation. You can get it all the way up. If you want to rotate the elbow, you kind of have to have it down. If you rotate it up, it locks it in place, so you can't rotate it. So you got to have at least 90 degrees to be able to get this rotated. So if you do it that way, then you call it a 90-degree bend, but you can't get it all the way up. Rotation at the wrist. You have individually articulated fingers here at 2 pins, and then the thumb is on a ball joint and its own pin, so you can fold that out. The thumb feels a little weird. It doesn't feel very sturdy, but it works. I haven't had any issues with it. So not too bad for the hands there. You have a rotation at the waist. No ab crunch on this guy. It is just, pretty solid due to the fact that it becomes the torso. And in the torso mode, it also doesn't have ab crunch. So we already covered that in our Moonshine review. Moving down, you have hip skirts here on the front and the back. It is symmetrical, so you can get the leg up to here. Very strong ratchet back and forth. Back to there. It does go out to the side. I would just have some caution. It's pulling on these little tiny, teeny tabs. So make sure you have all 4 tabs in there before you move this out. And I'd even put a thumb here to hold this because it's such a tight ratchet. And again, this is the joint for the combiner mode. So they want it to be tight, so I'd rather it be tight. But just be careful as you're manipulating it. Going down is not too much of an issue. One thing I have, though, is bringing these legs... and that popped out. I hate how that feels. Bringing these legs out, that's the first click. It's pretty far out. I don't really like how far out that first click is because he's pretty wide stanced. Now, if I was posing him on the shelf, I would definitely not have it straight-legged, but this just feels a little bit too far out for me personally. You do have a more than 90-degree bend at the knee due to the way it's sculpted here on the back. That's smart. Lots and lots of die cast down here. Let's see. Is it? I guess it's back here in the knees. Here on the foot, maybe? It just feels heavy, but it's all like internal die cast. So there is hardware in here. It's just kind of on the inside. Anyway, you have a toe tilt this way, and it goes up and down. So it's kind of a cheat. It's not really an ankle tilt. It's a toe tilt and a swivel. And then you can rotate the thighs here. It does break the sculpt, but you can get that. So not too bad. Pretty good for posing purposes. Now, of course, you get accessories here with the, first of all, this smaller gun with the orange accent there and the black paint. That looks really nice. It matches him perfectly. And that can fit in his hand like that. Or you can take the combined mode gun and you can separate it here. And now this can be used as its own gun right here. And that'll just tab into his hand. I think that actually size-wise looks a little bit more appropriate. This is a little kind of pea shooter for him. And then you can take the other one, and there's a little tab right here. That'll fit into the side of his arm. It's a little tight of a fit, but it does go. And now we can have that. So there he is, fully armed. Pretty badass. That looks really good. And for size comparison, there it is next to the Transformer Elements version of Optimus Prime and the Make Toys version of Chrome Dome. Fits in nicely. It's a bigger bot, obviously, because he's a leader. And yeah, he's going to be a little bit taller. He does look really good with the other bots. I'm not going to transform the other train bots. They're all in combined mode right now. So I think it looks good. Fits in well with a Masterpiece collection. All right, now let's get him transformed into his train mode. And I'll just say up front, it's not a fun transformation. There are some steps that are a little challenging, but it's doable. It's not like Moonshine where the train just doesn't come together. This one comes together, it locks in good, but there's some tricky steps to get there. So let's get going. Start off with the arms here. Go ahead and fold these up. And we're going to open up these panels. You might need a spudger throughout this process, not just here. Fold these up and then rotate those in. And then close that up. Then you're going to take this, and this is going to fold upwards and tab in here to the top. And that's going to make part of the train. You can see the headlights up here. All right, and this is a very symmetrical bot, so you're going to see everything is twice. And now we're ready for the next step. And we got to take apart all of this stuff that we put together before, unfortunately. So you can unpeg the backpack. You can lift up these arms and just leave them up on the top like that. Okay. Open up these panels here, and it's going to basically unfurl all of this. You can unpeg this from here, and again, using a spudger definitely makes things a little bit easier on your fingers especially. From the back here, we can lift this up and undo this one as well. Remember I mentioned it's going to be a lot of symmetrical parts. We're going to be doing the same thing multiple times. Alright, now we can take these panels here, and these are going to separate. You can kind of slide it down. It's over under tabs, so make sure you don't pull it apart. You just slide it down, and then those will come apart, and we can just leave those for now. These are actually going to sandwich around this leg piece here, so that's going to come in just a little bit later. All right, next we'll take care of the bottom here. So we're going to come to the bottom, unpeg these hip skirts, again symmetrical on both sides. Make sure you fold these legs so they're straight. You want these ratchets straight. There's a little tab right here on the end of his hip. That's going to end up in here in this little slot. So this has to come down and allow it to peg in there. So slide this down, and then bring this up. And this is going to accordion all the way up here. And you do have to kind of get it on a double hinge down, and then up and over and into that peg. Right? And these two pieces are going to go around it. So just work those to the outside. Make sure this is slid all the way down. A lot of stuff to just move out of the way, unfortunately. Right, let's see. You have this cleared. Okay, and then get that pegged in. It doesn't really securely peg in, but it does go in there. Then you can take these, and these are going to lock into the leg. So rotate the leg 90 degrees. 90 degrees. And then tab this onto this tab right here. And then there's also a tab up here at the top of the thigh. So get those pegged in, and it'll kind of secure that leg in place. So make sure you get this top one and then the bottom one. Right, same on this side, the top one and the bottom one. That'll kind of secure the leg onto the side. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to take care of this. This has got to look like a train. So there's a little bit of work to do to get it to do that. Open this up here. And we're actually going to move some things past each other. So that's a little bit tricky. Let's see. Open this up. I'll give you some room. Fold this down. This is going to rotate in. Take this. That's going to fold downwards. And then this can go into the foot. And just make sure you're cleared here and you're not bumping. All right, that's going to come into here. And then this is going to come back around and sit on the outside. Make sure you fold out this teeny tiny panel right here. That actually covers down and hides the front. So you want that little teeny tiny panel. Right. And we'll take this. It's going to come down and fold out like this. We're going to rotate this whole panel. I'm going to rotate this, and that's going to end up making the outside of the train. Right? So this can peg back in. Same on this side. We'll bring this, and this got caught up here. Oh, come on. Okay, there we go. So yeah, this can just sit in here like that. All right, rotate this panel around. Flip this little panel here. And I'll fold this out, and that's just going to tab in on the side there. You can actually do that here too. All right, now we're going to tab that all back in, and this thing popped out. Okay. So get that tabbed in. It's going to tab into the side of the leg. And you might experience some of the things I'm experiencing right now, which is things kind of moving where you don't want them to. So this tab, this is a little key point I want to make sure. This tab is going to go into the first slot. So make sure you get that down and in to the side and then into that first slot. This tab is going to go in the second slot. So it's a little confusing. This one's going into the side of the leg. You just got to make sure you get those two into the right tabs or things won't line up later. Right now we can take this. This is going to come down and just tab in. Make sure you have the wheels on the top. And these two pieces, actually this comes down first and this is going to fill in the train. So make sure you have everything lined up. Be careful with that little teeny panel that I mentioned earlier. But this should just go right there. And now this is going to come and close and hold that piece in place. Right? And it kind of all snaps together. And this can be a little tricky because there's an over, under, and there's a tab on the back. So get it in on the back first, and then get it on the top. And that should hold that panel. All right, so there's one side done. That's what the train's going to look like on both sides. It is a symmetrical train, so both can be the front or the back. So we're going to do the other side as well. But I remember I mentioned that it is symmetrical. But before we do that, we have to bring this piece down. This head is going to rotate inside of here, and that's actually going to hold these panels up. So now we can do this other side. So we'll do that off camera. I'll be right back. All right, there you go. We have both sides done. It really is truly symmetrical. So next we can work on all of this. It's such a mess, but we're going to unpeg these from each other. That's going to free up these pieces here. You can fold those down, rotate these panels out, and they're just pegged together, so you can just unpeg them from each other. And sometimes this happens where it comes apart in the wrong place, so you can just get this tab back in. It's not a big deal, but I have noticed that. All right, you can obviously see that's going to be part of the train. Same on this side. Same thing happened here. Unpeg this. All right. Bring this over to here. And this is going to come down. And there's a tab, a slot right there, and a tab right there. And you want to get this kind of lined up in such a way that you can get all these tabs in. There's two, one here, and then one on each side of the leg. So get all those tabs in. So we'll start with these up here. We'll work on the bottom. And it can be a little bit tedious, but right, get this tab in. Come to the other side, we'll do the same thing. Make sure you get that inside tab in first, and then get this one here on the side. And that's kind of what it should look like. Oh, and this thing popped out. There we go. So that's kind of what the front should look like. Now we can work on this piece here. Obviously the lights are going to go to the front. This is where I mentioned we're going to have to rotate at the arm. It doesn't feel good, doesn't sound good. So hold here, give it as much support as possible, and then rotate this. It just feels awful. All right, that's got to be tabbed together. But this is going to come down and sit right here. It's a little weird how it ends up sitting. Let's see. And yeah, we got to rotate this a little more. So unfortunately, rotate even more. Okay, it just sounds awful, but this is going to end up coming down, and there's a tab right here and right here. And then on the bottom, there's a tab that's going to go in the center. So all of that has to line up and sit flush. That's kind of the front of the train. You can see the windows there. Go ahead and do this side. I just showed you how to do it. You're going to take all this apart, get this down, and then get this piece, right? So we'll do that off camera. I'll be right back. All right, there it is with both sides complete. I have to warn you and mention this joint right here where you have to rotate this piece. This is the arm. Does not feel good. It does not feel it's going to survive too many of these. I would advise not transforming this more than 1 or 2 times because that joint is probably going to break. It doesn't feel good. Anyway, let's finish this off. So go ahead and take this panel. Now this is a step that it was actually missed. Even in the instructions it was wrong. You got to accordion this down on here. There was a picture in the instructions that showed it incorrect, but this has got to go all the way down, and then sit flat. And actually these will probably come out, so just leave them down for now. All right, so that's got to come all the way down, and you know you have it right if these white panels line up. If you don't have those right, then it's wrong. So you're going to get this accordion down on the double hinge and this accordion down. So rotate this up, and this is going to accordion down on that panel. And now you can see how the white is lining up, whereas this one isn't. So that's definitely a step that I think people are just going to miss. It's a little tricky, but I'm going to get that pegged in on the top. So it's going to push and peg onto the side. Same with this side. Get this rotated down. And again, when you're doing this, I would give it some support. But Right. I think we want it like this. All right, and then these panels are going to tab in. There's actually a little tab right on the inside underneath those panels, so push those in. All right, now we can come to the other side here, and we'll do all the same thing. Right. All right, last step, if these have come out, you might want to put these back. So make sure you line up those tabs on the bottom and get those pushed in. These should basically be butted up against each other on the bottom. So something like that. And if you have it all squared, it should be nice and flat right here. And then these should be tied together. And the final step here is to go ahead and take the wheels, and these are supposed to rotate up. It's very, very tight. I don't know why this joint is, it's so much tighter than any of the other ones we've seen before. Oh my gosh, it feels terrible, but get those folded up. Now you're supposed to remove the retaining clip like you do on the other ones, but you really don't need to because these are so darn tight that they just hold up. So it's fine, you can actually just leave it, and if anything unpegged, just get it pegged back together. But those are holding pretty good, so you don't really need the retaining clips, but if you want to, they're right here on the insides. And there you have Iron Arm in train mode. I actually think it does look kind of cool. I really like the, dual look, right? Both sides look identical, symmetrical. And I like the paint detail and how it came out. I like the little translucent windows here and here. It overall is a good looking train. It's not fun. It's not fun getting in here. There's a lot of little panels and tabs that are kind of painful to get into place. But once you get in here, it does look good. It's a very symmetric and good looking train. I don't know if there's a real train like this. I'm guessing there is, somewhere. And for size comparison, there it is next to the MP10 Optimus Prime. These trains don't really scale with anything, but they're big enough to fit in a Masterpiece collection. I think they're just fine in terms of the size. And because it's kind of obligatory, here it is with one of the other trains from the set. I'm not going to transform them all back into their train mode, but I did want to show you. You can take the little connector piece here, plug that into the front here. Now you kind of have to put a finger back behind this so that it will give you a little support. There we go. And then these will attach together magnetically, and you can pull the trains along. Woohoo! There you go. You can attach all the trains, obviously. They do look good together. And if you have tracks, you could even put them on a track and make it a full train set. So there you go for comparison. So final thoughts on the Moon Studio Iron Arm. Let's start with the positives. I think it looks really good in the robot train and combined mode. I love the detail and accents they put on, the little orange and red pieces, the silver, the actual look of the train, the look of the robot, and the combined mode. None of them suffer from, being the weak mode. They all look good. I like the accessories they gave you. I like the fact that the combined mode gun, the combiner gun actually separates and you can use it in all three modes. I forgot to show that this gun will actually mount in the train mode. It's just forgot to do it. I'm not going to go back to train mode. But it's nice that you can use it. You can mount it all. Everything can store away. Negatives wise, this shoulder joint is a kind of a problem. It's really, really tight. Both of them, actually both sides. So transforming it into train mode is definitely probably never going to happen again for me because I don't want to put stress on that joint. And even in robot mode, if you do rotate here at the shoulder, you are putting stress on that joint. So I just advise holding this while you turn that. I also just find that this is kind of irritating as you move the arm up. If you're trying to manipulate this joint, you end up popping it off of here. Then you got to get it back, and it's just kind of an irritation. I wish there was a locking mechanism that locked this down onto the actual shoulder. I also think that articulation is somewhat limited here in the robot mode. Now, it is a big, hunky, chunky guy, so of course he's going to be limited. Pretty good for a guy this big, but still he is limited. And, that's to be expected. But I do find that some things, especially the feet here, these don't really hit the ground. They're just kind of floating. He's really sitting on these. So eventually he can get into poses where he's not stable, but you can sort of fake it, and it does look good. So I'll get to give them credit for that. So I do recommend this. It does look good in combined mode. It does look good in robot mode. For me personally, it's going to be in combined mode pretty much for the rest of his life. But if anything, I would probably put it in a robot mode and maybe use that once in a while. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.